Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of videos about games and the people who played them. And now, here's your host, Joe Stedman.
Hello, this is Joe Stedman. This is Joe's Gaming Journal episode number 6. It's been quite a while since I did an episode, and I apologize, but no more excuses. I plan on getting back into this pretty steady. In this episode, I'm going to talk about my favorite game, Diplomacy. Now, Diplomacy is a game that most people have heard of in the gaming world, yet in my experience, a lot of people who've heard of it, who claim they don't like it or don't have any interest in it, don't even know how the game works. They've just heard negative things about the game, about backstabbing and the evilness of the game and things, but they really don't understand the game. I think that if you watch this and then if you have a chance in the future, give the game a chance. Very simple game. There's only 4 things that you can do on your turn, but the complexity comes in with negotiation, making deals with the other players in the game, with the way the game plays. Diplomacy was invented in 1959 by a guy named Alan Chammer. He's actually a postal worker in Chicago, and it's an amazing story. If you do a little research, I think on Board Game Geek there's a link to an article in the newspaper written about him and his life. Since its invention in 1959, over 300,000 copies have sold. It was the favorite game of people like Henry Kissinger. John F. Kennedy used to play this game in the White House in the Oval Office, believe it or not. It's a very popular game. It's a game that's going to last for years and years, and it's one of the games that are in the Game Hall of Fame. Now, this is the game board itself. You can see it's a map of Europe with borders for different countries and different areas. And you can also see that there's stars. Like, for instance, this is Turkey. You'll see a star in Ankara, Constantinople, and Smyrna. There's 7 major powers in the game. There's Turkey, Russia, Germany, England, France, Italy, and Austria. There's only 2 types of units in the game: land units and sea units. It's a pretty simple game when it comes to components. Gameplay. Alright, the game is divided into years, starting in 1901. Each year has a spring and a fall. On your turn, you can do 4 things, 4 possible things with each of your units. Each country starts off with 3 units of either ships or land units, except for Russia, which starts off with 4. Now, the first thing you can do with your unit is pretty simple. You can hold, which means that your unit does nothing. The second thing that you can do is you can move, which means that you move your piece, either land or sea, from one land area to an adjacent land area. Pretty simple. Or your ship can move from one sea zone to an adjacent sea zone. Ships can also go from sea zone to coastal zones. Any land zone that touches the ocean, a ship can go to, but an inland place, like let's say Burgundy here, a ship could not go into Burgundy. It's Austria, and I have a unit in Vienna, Budapest, and Trieste. For my turn, I could say the fleet in Trieste will move to Albania. It's a coastal zone to a coastal zone. My army in Budapest will move from Budapest to Serbia, and my army in Vienna will move from Vienna to Galicia. Those are all adjacent zones that you can move to. Now, the interesting thing of this game is you have to use paper and pencil to write down your orders. So on your turn, you would write down those 3 things. The fleet will move from here to here, army from here to there, army from there to there. You write it on a piece of paper, you fold it up, and you turn it in to a central area where everyone's playing, or where everyone puts their stuff. Now, you'll have a time limit to do this, and then once everyone has done this, so you'll also have, let's say, the Russian will also be doing his turn at the same, none of these pieces will move. You have to do everything in your head. And the game comes with paper maps like this, where you can write down or do chicken scratches and try to figure out what you want to do before you write it out to make sure you don't make a misorder. Now, once everyone's turned their orders in, typically we take turns, you open the orders up and you read them, and you move the pieces on the board accordingly. Now, it's not that simple though. Now, it's not that simple because now what happens if this person told his fleet to move to Marseille? That's what he wrote on his paper. But at the same time, this person who was in Burgundy told his army to move to Marseille as well. Now, this would be a bounce. Neither unit, it's 1 versus 1, it's a tie. No one dies in this game like other games, and you bounce back. And so the spot would be open. Now this is where the third possible move that you can do comes into play. Before I said you could move or you could hold. The third thing that you can do is support. Let's suppose that there was another army here. The player with the ship wrote down, ship will move to Marseille from the Gulf of Lyon. Now, the black player, which is Germany, let's say, he'll move, like I said before, from Burgundy to Marseille with this unit. Now, with this unit, he can write down the army in Gascony will support the army from Burgundy moving to Marseille, which would then make it 2 versus 1, and this unit would, the army would get to stay, and it would bounce the fleet back out to the sea. Here's where it even gets better. Let's pretend that a third player was in the city of was in the area of Piedmont. He decides, after talking to the yellow player through the negotiation phase, that he'll write on his paper, let's put everything back where it was at, he'll write on his paper, army in Piedmont will support the yellow player's fleet into Marseille. So you would have fleet to Marseille, Piedmont supports fleet to Marseille, army in Burgundy to Marseille, Gulf of Lyon support this move. Now, what is it? 1-2 versus 1-2, bounce, bounce. Nobody gets it. But this is where everyone criticizes the game, because just because this orange army told the ship, told the yellow army, or the yellow captain, that he was going to support him, doesn't mean he has to. So the Germans move into here, one with their support in their unit. The ship moves into here, but as the orange army's orders are read, instead of Piedmont supporting Marseille, the Gulf of Lyon to Marseille, instead he moves to Venice, and he captures that star. Well, it's good for orange, it's good for black, but yellow is, guess what, he'd be very mad because he was lied to. But lying and deceiving and negotiating and backstabbing is all part of this game. Maybe the black team had offered orange a deal if he would backstab him. You never know. That's what I love about this game. Now, the last thing that you can order one of your units to do is convoy. In this example, we'll use this ship here to convoy. So you'll write down for this army in Holland wants to move to London. Well, since it's moving over water, it has to convoy. You just write down move for this, but for this ship, you would write down ship North Sea, convoys unit from Holland to London. Okay, how do you win? Well, on the map, there's supply centers, these stars. Every country will start off with 3. Russia starts off with 4. The object of the game is to be the first player to capture 18 stars. That sounds fairly easy, but it's not. It's like half the map, and it's pretty much impossible to do by yourself. So there can be alliances, and there can be a tie. There can be a 2-way tie, 3-way tie. I've been in games that ended with a 4-way tie because we just couldn't get past each other. We had to stay on. The stars are important because the stars directly correspond to the size of your military. If you have 3 stars, then you can have 3 pieces in your military, whether that be ships or men, doesn't matter. If you had 4, you can have 4. If you can have 5, 5. Now, if in the game if you ever lose one of your stars, let's say you had 5, someone captures one of yours, now you have 4, that would mean at the end of the fall turn, you'd actually have to remove one of your armies from the board. Now that's how people are killed, is if you lose supply centers. There's no other game like diplomacy, especially when it comes to interaction with other players. You have to make deals. You have to break deals. You have to learn to trust people and always be nervous they're going to stab you in the back. I love this game. This is the best game ever made. Well, until next time, Joe. Oh yeah, if you have any questions about the game or you have any questions in general, feel free to email me, joestedman@gmail.com.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.